From Section 1 is Danny Dietz, a standout football and lacrosse player. His life changed forever in 2015 when he was diagnosed with cardiomyopathy, and in September of that year, he received a new heart. Undaunted, last fall he was cleared to return to football and cemented his return by catching a touchdown pass. The Section 2 recipient is Gunnar Eaton, a former student athlete in Kentucky. After being diagnosed with stage 3 testicular cancer that had spread to other parts of his body, he spent countless hours trying to return to the football field, which he did his senior year. Hailing from Section 3 is Hassan Hawthorne, a former wrestler from Alabama. A state qualifier as a sophomore, he placed third in state as a junior and went 38-0 en route to the state title as a senior. Making those accomplishments truly extraordinary is the fact that he had both legs amputated at the knee at age 4 months. This year's Section 4 winner is Hunter Gandy. A standout student athlete, Gandy redefined what being a good big brother should be, as he carried younger brother Braden, who has cerebral palsy, on his back a cumulative 208 miles in 3 CP awareness-raising walks. Despite being born with a broken back, being a paraplegic, and being confined to a wheelchair his entire life, Danny Lilya defies those challenges by playing 4 sports. Perhaps most amazingly, he is the holder on the football kicking team. Faced with family domestic violence, the 3 Massey sisters have persevered through the power of sports. Not only have junior twins Britlin and Madeline and sophomore Michaela found athletic success on the softball field, they have found solace there as well. At age 5, Keyshawn Matha had cancer that necessitated amputation of his right foot. Despite 2 recurrences of cancer and numerous arduous rounds of treatment, Matha fought back to become Santa Paula's starting football quarterback. And from Alaska in Section 8 is the boys basketball team from Sitka High School. While in Anchorage for the state tournament, their bus stopped at a red light next to a burning apartment building. The players employed teamwork and quick thinking by helping rescue all of the individuals in the burning building. From the small northeast Minnesota town of Moose Lake comes the story of a very inspirational young man. That young man is Danny Lilya, a junior this fall at Moose Lake High School, who is this year's National High School Spirit of Sport Award recipient. Like most students at Moose Lake High School, Danny plays a variety of sports. However, unlike those other students, Danny was born with a broken back, is a paraplegic, and has been confined to a wheelchair his entire life. And amazingly, he is the holder on the football kicking team.
Well, in Danny's freshman year, he got into one non-scoring play at the end of a game. We got him in on defense, and really excited. The crowd went wild. About a week after that game, he came up to me and said, "Coach, I think I could be holder of the extra point field goal unit." And we were towards the end of the season going into playoffs, so we didn't really get into it as freshman year. But starting this year, as sophomore year, I went to Danny and said, right away here when we do our extra point sessions, that you're going to be our holder right from the start of the season. Got to our first game against Barnum, had 4 scoring opportunities where he got a chance to get in, be the holder. Wheeled him in, got him off his wheelchair, and the crowd went wild again. It was exciting for everybody, even the opponents, to see a kid come in like that and be able to hold a football and take part in a scoring play was really exciting.
It was at an off-season lifting training, and one of my friends, we were trying to think of different ways I could actually participate more in the game, and he came up with the idea of being the field goal holder. So I talked to Lojak about it, and he thought it was a good idea. And we started practice from day one with me in the field goal unit.
Danny is an inspiration to all of us. He's really brave and he's courageous, and it's just amazing to see what he can do on the field.
I think Danny is an inspiration to the adults and the other students that work with him, because he's got this determination and this heart of an athlete, and he sees possibilities where maybe other people didn't see the possibilities too, and so it helps open the minds of the coaches and the adults and the officials and the opponents' coaches that work with him too, to see what really is possible for all of our students, even those with special needs.
In addition to football, Danny plays other sports.
My favorite sport is sled hockey because it just gives me something to do with other people who are disabled like me, and it's just been something that's been part of my life for pretty much my whole life. And I also play softball, which I've been doing since 5th grade, and then I also do track for the high school, and I've been doing that since 7th grade, and I used to do the 800 meter in distance, but now as a sophomore I switched to sprints.
Danny is just another Moose Lake student, and he does participate in a lot of things. He's a very average teenager. He's very personable, fun-loving, good student, just like the rest of his peers. And with this attention, nothing's changed. He's still just another kid here at Moose Lake High.
Being big brother to Danny, I always encouraged him to do the sports I was doing as well, because he'd see me and he'd feel discouraged when he wasn't as fast or as good as the other kids. And I always encouraged him to keep trying rebel hockey until the Minnesota Wild Association stepped in and had a hockey team for him there.
We took him home, and when he was 6 months old, he had a spinal reconstructive surgery, and he was in a body cast from 6 months to 1, plus leg cast that I would take off, and then every Thursday, and then Friday would go in and get recasted again to straighten his legs. And then when he was 1.5, he had another spinal reconstructive surgery, and he was in a body cast from 1.5 to 2. And then when he was 3, they broke his tibias to straighten him, and he had club feet surgeries twice on both feet. And then when he was 11, he had a detethering. So his legs were twitching and twitching and twitching, and after about 9 months, they were upping his bladder medicine, and finally I said, let's just do an MRI, and it was tethered pretty bad. So almost every leg movement he had, he lost with that surgery. I think the thing I'm most proud about Danny is that he is not a cup is half empty kid. His cup is overflowing. He realized there was something wrong with his legs when he was 3, when other kids were playing out on the street, and he wanted to go play with them. And I explained, you can't crawl out on that street. You'll get bloody knees and bloody feet. And he hit his legs and started crying and asked why his legs had to be like that and that he hated his legs. So we had a freezy pop, and that fixed everything for a couple of years. And then he started playing sled hockey and noticed some kids had prosthetics. And then he started asking if he could have his legs cut off, because I'm pretty sure he thought if he could get prosthetic legs, he'd be able to walk. Yeah, he has so much. He says it all the time, I have so much, and I wouldn't want to change anything. But he's always happy.
I was pretty nervous. I didn't know what was going to happen, and of course, I don't know if he mentioned it, but the first 2 snaps went right over his head, and so I had to give him a hard time from the stands, hey, can't you catch the ball or whatever, but that didn't go so well. Some of the parents that were sitting, within earshot, they didn't realize that I was his dad. So, but the third quarter or the fourth quarter, when they actually made the connection, you never think you're going to see a child, in a wheelchair. Let alone a child be in a wheelchair that's going to actually be a part of a football team and in the active game.
Perhaps Danny himself sums it up best.
The wheelchair doesn't define you. If you want to do something but you're in a wheelchair, if you have the right mindset, you can still go out there and just do it.
And so, in recognition of his many outstanding accomplishments and tremendous resolve in the face of adversity, Danny Lilya is the 2017 recipient of the National High School Spirit of Sport Award.